welcome back to our study of the book of Matthew. We are starting today at Matthew chapter 10, verse 5. Right, preceding this in the chapter, we just talked about who the 12 disciples are, gave a list of their names. In verse 5, Jesus sent out these 12 disciples after giving them instructions. Don't take the road leading to other nations, and don't enter any Samaritan town. Instead, go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. As you go, announce this: the kingdom of heaven has come near. Now, that right there is the start of a missionary movement. All through the Old Testament, there's always been a prophet or a spokesperson for God that has spread the word. And of course, the nation of Israel, as it grew and as it traveled, it spread the word about Yahweh. But this is one of the first actual missionary movements that we see. 12 people are being sent out with the sole task of spreading the news about Jesus and the message that he brings. Now, as you know, these disciples are the ones who had been given the responsibility, they will be later on in Matthew, to go out into all the world and preach the gospel. That is a daunting task. Imagine if you were given the task to spread the news about anything to the whole world. Now, this is before social media, radio, TV, all this type stuff, even modern mail. Like, how are they going to get this news to the whole world? 12 guys? Really? Well, you see what Jesus told them. He's sending them out, but he told them to start where they were. Jesus instructed them to focus their energy and their mission on their immediate surroundings. That is a good thing to think about when it comes to our spiritual life. But let's take a moment and look at just our life in general. Let's put the overly spiritual part to the side, and let's just look at our own personal life. How many times do you want to do something and it seems to be overwhelming? It's the new year and you have a New Year's resolution, whether it be to do better with your finances. How are you going to do that? To lose weight, work on your marriage, grow your spiritual life. Where do you start? It seems like such a daunting task. Where do you start with your finances? It would be wonderful if we had $1 million each to work with, but we don't. How do you start working on your finances? You look at your bank account now and you begin making wise decisions now. Do what you can with what you got. Losing weight, especially if you have a large amount of weight to lose, it can be daunting. How am I going to lose 100 pounds or something? Well, it's going to start with your very next meal. Make good decisions at your very next meal. In your marriage, if your marriage has been falling apart and it's been slowly falling apart for the last 15 years, what do we do now? How can we fix it? Well, how about start with your very next conversation? Start with the day that you're at now. What good decision do you need to make right now? All these things will end up snowballing towards the future. If you do nothing, you will get nowhere. But starting where you are is the way to progress into the future. Luke 16:10, Jesus actually said, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. Grow where you are planted. Be faithful where you are. Your location is not an accident. So let's pull the spiritual side back into this. What does God want you to do? What does God want you to do in your world? Why'd you wake up today? What's your goal? What's your purpose? Your purpose is to advance the kingdom of God. When Jesus sent the disciples out, he said, start where you are. Your location is not an accident. The home you live in, no one else lives there besides the people in your house, meaning the people around you are in your circle of influence. Are you reaching out to them? Your job, you're the one in your job. Are you spreading the good news? Are you loving people around you? Are you pointing to the salvation that you got through Christ so that other people can get that as well? Because you have a circle of influence that no one else has. You have been entrusted with that. That's one thing that I actually dislike that God has done. He has given responsibility to me. He could just snap his fingers and make everyone saved. He chooses to use us. And that does end up giving us responsibility for making decisions and to go out into all the world. God may be leading you to China, but most likely he's not. He is telling you, however, to lead your home the way you know you should. to be a witness at your work the way you know you should, to actually go across the street and check on your neighbor, which you've been thinking about doing, you just haven't gotten around to send that text of encouragement that you just haven't got to yet. Start where you are. Grow where you are planted. You will make a difference. Share the gospel in your sphere of influence. You're a believer today. I'm a believer today because these 12 disciples started where they were, and that message grew and it spread throughout all the world. What you do where you are now has the potential through the power of God to grow and expand and to return 100-fold. So be faithful where you are, and God will use you.